Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off a 50-cent late pick four at Oaklawn Park on Apple Blossom Saturday with race number 8, the Grade 3 Count Fleet Sprint Handicap. It's really a sensational wide open race. Before we get to the analysis, I do want to remind everybody, check out those new DRF mobile pass performances. You can experience these classic PPs with mobile interactive access on your phone, anywhere, at any time. You get the exclusive lifetime buyer speed figure graph, lots more. Check them out, drf.com/MPPS. Here's the field for this year's edition of the Count Fleet Sprint. Your morning line favorite in here, well, it's Whitmore. Whitmore has won this race twice, in 2017 and 2018, second in 2019, a true Oaklawn lover, and on his best day, Mike, one of the better sprinters in the country that should get the right pace set up this year.
Yeah, agreed, Dan. I mean, this Count Fleet actually, benefits from the lack of racing elsewhere and has pulled a really strong and competitive field. But even with that being said, I think it's pretty hard to look at this race and not just say that Whitmore is the horse to beat. As you mentioned, he loves this track. He tends to run really well when he runs down here and over this distance. And he's run twice this year already, Dan, and he's run really well both times.
Our friends at Timeform US project that the pace will be fast. We have the number 4, Bobby's Wicked One, expected to make the lead. He's plenty fast. Mr. Jagermeister is really a one-way speed. And kind of the key to this pace to the entire scroll, who's been kind of an enigma wrapped in a riddle for his entire career.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Hidden Scroll does because, I guess he can be a little bit of a polarizing horse at this point, but I think it's pretty hard to look at some of his races and just not say, he's a really super talented colt. He's got a lot of class questions to answer, but he has a ton of ability, this horse.
Let's start the analysis in post-position order with the number 1, Lexitonian. While Lexitonian is 30-1 on the morning line, Mike, I believe he has merits. We'll go back to most recent race, and you have to go back to the Keeneland Fall Meet of 2019, the Grade 2 Phoenix. He's going to run third in this race, only finishing a nose behind Whitmore. He is a horse that likes to race down inside. He draws the rail here, and he's going to get a good setup.
Yeah, he's a versatile horse, and he's actually really good. He was a real overachiever as a 3-year-old, Dan. We're looking at the race right now where he just gets nailed by Whitmore at the end. I thought he ran well that day. He was a huge price in that race. He won 2 stakes races, sprinting on dirt as a 3-year-old. He was big prices in both of those races. So he's just a real overachiever. I think he's found a really tough spot to make his 4-year-old debut, but he's going to be a big price in here, and he tends to outrun his odds.
The number 2 is Flagstaff, in from Southern California for trainer John Sadler. And this horse has just been extremely consistent in his last 4 races. All 5 of his last races have been good. He finished close behind the excellent Omaha Beach at this distance in the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. And let's go back to the San Carlos last time out, where he sat just off the pace and finished these horses off pretty easily. He should get a good trip in here. Are you a little bit concerned that the 6 is sharp and that maybe 6.5 and 7 is more his bag?
No, I wasn't concerned about that. I mean, I suppose it's something to think about. I actually like him at 6 furlongs, Dan. I think he's probably going to have to improve to win this race, maybe slightly only, but maybe improve a little bit. I think he can do it. I really think he's a tactical kind of horse. And even though he's relatively lightly raced for a 6-year-old, I just think he's in really good form right now. I like both of his starts so far this year, and I wasn't concerned about the cutback to 6 at all.
The number 3 is Hog Creek Hustle, 15-1 on the morning line. And I don't think you can ever sleep on this colt in a race with pace. And as Timeform US projects, there should be speed for Hog Creek Hustle to run at. He was 3rd last time out in the Gulfstream Mile against Mr. Freeze, who's just sitting dead red, and he had no chance against Bobby's Wicked One 2 starts back in a 3-horse field where Bobby's Wicked One controlled the pace. I think this horse is a little bit dirtied up, and in his 3rd start of the form cycle, you can expect a good late kick at a price.
That's how I looked at him, too. He's a horse I definitely want to use in here. He just didn't really have any chance last time at Gulfstream. Just a race where Mr. Freeze, ran a 107 buyer. This horse was never going to be able to catch him. He had a big excuse off the layoff, and his form as a 3-year-old last year was really, really solid. He was a Grade 1 winner, a nose away from winning 2 Grade 1s. As opposed to Flagstaff, who we just talked about, Dan, I'm a little concerned about the cutback to 6 for this horse. I think it might be a little sharp for him. But if they go fast in front of him, and they should, he's going to be running at the end.
Number 4 is Bobby's Wicked One, 3-1 on the morning line, coming off 2 triple-digit wins in gate-to-wire fashion. He's expected to make the lead in the Count Fleet, but boy, what great situations in both the Thanksgiving Classic and the Duncan Kenner. He only faced 2 opponents in each of those races and was the controlling speed each time. You got to think he's going to face more pressure here, but he is a graded stakes winner at Keeneland and is tough when he makes the lead.
Yeah, he really is tough when he makes the lead, and he's got 3 triple-digit buyers on his card. So, as hard as it is to take those last 2 wins at face value just because of what he was facing, I think he showed himself to be a pretty talented horse last year. I can't say I'm a huge fan of him. I don't like him that much in this race, Dan, especially if he's going to be around that morning line price, but I won't be surprised when he runs well.
Number 5, Wendell Fong is up next, and we have a formulator fact for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt. Over the past 2 years, with horses aged 3 and up making their second start off a layoff of 6 months to a year in dirt sprints, Engelhardt is 10 for 32 with a $3.15 ROI, and Wendell Fong's first race of the year off a long layoff in the hot springs, while no match for Whitmore and Mr. Jagermeister, it was certainly a useful effort that he could build upon.
That's what I thought too. Probably just best to look at it as a prep race. He was never a real threat in there, but the pace wasn't fast. He was sort of wide throughout and just sort of raced on for a no threat there. I thought it was okay. I think he can do better second time back. And he was, actually pretty good as a 3-year-old, Dan. His Woody Stevens, that was sort of a deceptively good effort, I thought, in a race where he looked like he was in very tough. I don't know. He's another horse. I don't love him in here, Dan, but he's going to be a big price. I think he's going to run pretty well.
15-1 on the number 6, Mr. Jagermeister, a horse that has won half of his 22 lifetime starts. This Minnesota bred is pure speed, and he made the lead last time out in the hot springs, but Whitmore ran him down and I think beat Mr. Jagermeister on the square. Add in the other speeds in here, Bobby's Wicked One, perhaps Hidden Scroll. This could be a tough assignment for a very likable horse.
I agree. I like him a lot too. I didn't see the excuse for him last time where he was able to get clear on a relatively soft pace going 6 furlongs and was just no match for Whitmore at the end. I think he's sort of been found out. There are very few times they've tried him against the real top horses. I think he's sort of been found out in those races, Dan. I think it's going to be very tough for him to win this race.
I think you described Hidden Scroll perfectly in the Open as perhaps the most pulse in this race. When he is good, he has been tremendous. 2 wins have resulted in just runaway margins with triple-digit buyer speed figures, and when thrown to the wolves and tougher horses, well, he's been found lacking, although the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby were 2 turns, and that may not be his game. Let's watch Hidden Scroll's 4-year-old debut, his first race off of an extremely long layoff, and Bill Mott just caught the right field for this horse. A weak field, an easy pace, but Hidden Scroll is merely breezing across the wire.
Yeah, very visually impressive win here. You're right. It wasn't a good field. He just cruised on the lead in this race and buried this field at will. I like this horse, Dan. I'm kind of rooting for him in here. I want him to be good because his 2 wins have just sort of pointed him out as a really talented horse. I give him a pass for the Fountain of Youth, obviously, which was a really fast pace. His Florida Derby, I just thought he got the wrong ride. So, I've spent a lot of time making excuses for this horse. We'll see what happens in here. I'm not going to bet him. I hope that he runs well. If he somehow drifts way up off that 4-1 morning line, maybe I would take a second look at him, but I'm not taking a short price on him in here.
Number 8 is Manny Wha. Manny Wha was 3rd in the Grade 1 Malibu last year behind Omaha Beach, has raced twice at Oaklawn Park this meeting. The first one was okay in an optional claimer. I don't know what happened last time out as the favorite. It was not a good performance at all. He's stepping up in class, and he's just simply going to have to do a lot better. He will be a giant price.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to, take that last race and then see him stepping way up into a tough race like this and just go right back to him. I don't know what happened last time. I will say that I'm a little bit of a fan of his. I sort of respect the way that not only was he improving at the end of his 3-year-old year, but they just didn't do a lot of sprinting with this horse. And I really believe that he's a better sprinter. of all the horses who are going to be really big prices in here, he's the one that I sort of was most interested in. I will try to get him in there somewhere, probably underneath, just because I think he deserves a chance to rebound out of that last race.
Whitmore is your morning line favorite. Again, he's won this race 2 of the last 3 years, and we'll go back to his most recent start, the Hot Springs Stakes, a race that he's now won for 4 consecutive seasons. Or beat 3 of these horses. He beat them nicely. He runs fast races, especially at Oaklawn. He should get the setup. In many ways, he is the horse to beat in this spot.
I do think he's the horse to beat. I like both of his races off the layup. You mentioned that he's won this race 2 of the last 3 years. He didn't win it last year, Dan, but he ran great in this race, chasing Matole all the way around the track. Listen, I just think he's the horse to beat in here. I have no knocks against him whatsoever. I appreciate the fact that he's come back in good form and that he's actually a very tactical horse. He can close. He can stay closer to the pace if he has to. I just think there's a lot to like about him, and I'm not against him by any stretch of the imagination.
Trains both the 10 share the upside, the 11 nitrous. They complement each other nicely. Share the Upside has speed. Nitrous is a 1-run closer. Share the Upside defeated Whitmore in the King Cotton Stakes, but you kind of got the feeling that Whitmore was prepping for that race off of the layoff. And in the rematch in the Hot Springs, Share the Upside could not step with Whitmore. He likes to be close to the pace. He draws a decent outside post position where he can stalk, and I think that's going to be the plan. But if they go fast early, it could set him up for the closers.
That's true. Listen, I don't love him in here. I think his last race was a little disappointing, and he had all the best of it when he beat Whitmore 2 back. But he has run 3 triple-digit buyers. He really seems like he likes Oaklawn, Dan. I think that's something to think about. I wanted other horses in this race, but he's, if he's some kind of big price in this race, I'm not going to knock anyone who likes him.
Nitrous is the number 11, and he's making his first start since September. You don't from surface, but he's run decently against 3-year-olds in 2019. He needs a lot of pace. He's probably going to get it here. I'm more inclined to watch one off the layoff.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to watch one as well. He sort of morphed into a really deep closer as a 3-year-old, and he sort of took advantage of a couple of fast paces to run well. I'm going to give him one off the layup. I know he's going to be a big price, but I'm looking elsewhere.
Let's take a look at our top selections for this year's Grade 3 Count Fleet Sprint Handicap. Mike, you like Flagstaff, the 2 under Joel Rosario. And again, it just looks like this is the kind of horse that can trip out in the second flight right behind the leaders.
Yeah, that was mostly my thinking, Dan. I just thought he would get a good trip. I really like his form. I think overall his form is solid, and he's just got great tactical speed. I think he's going to fall into a trip here, and I'm going to give him a chance. I'm not way against Whitmore in this race, but I'm going to take Flagstaff on top.
Mike's going 2, 9, and 7. I believe talent. This is a step up in class. I'm worried that much about the hike in class. I am worried about the faster pace. He didn't have to go fast last time out when he controlled his return off the layoff against weaker horses. This pace might be a lot faster. I'm hoping he can sit second or third and show the real hidden scroll instead of perhaps the dud hidden scroll that we've seen on a few times in the past. 7-9-4-1 for me. Mike's going again, 2-9-3-7. It's the Grade 3 Count Fleet Sprint. It kicks off a 50-cent pick 4, and it has an approximate post time at Oaklawn on Saturday of 4:14 Central. Good luck.